guys, what's going on? Welcome back to Adeline's Horror World. My name is Adeline. Of course, you guys already know that. So the day is finally here. It's time to review Halloween Ends. Supposedly the last film of the franchise, which I know it won't be, but it's definitely the last film in the David Gordon Green trilogy. And this is a divisive one, I gotta say. So before we get started, this review will be 100% spoiler free. It'll be a spoiler-free review. I am planning on doing a spoiler discussion live stream in a few days. I'm planning on doing that because, oh my god, there's a lot to talk about when it comes to this movie. This one is a weird one to talk about. And also, before we get started, this is probably going to be the most divisive film in the franchise. I would appreciate it if everybody in the comments are friendly to each other, respect each other's opinions, and I would appreciate it if none of y'all are pricks in the comments. That's literally all I want to say. Just do not be pricks, don't be jerks. Don't do that. Respect each other's opinions and we will be fine. Anyways, Halloween Ends. Let's get started. So Halloween Ends stars Jamie Lee Curtis in her final outing as Laurie Strode, Andi Matichak, Will Patton, Rowan Campbell, James Jude Courtney, and is directed by David Gordon Green once again. This is the final installment of the requel trilogy, but as we all know, this will not be the final installment of the franchise. There will inevitably be 15 more freaking sequels. I promise you that much. 4 years after her last encounter with masked killer Michael Myers, Laurie Strode is living with her granddaughter and is trying to finish her memoir. Myers hasn't been seen since, and Laurie finally decides to liberate herself from rage and fear and embrace life. However, when a young man stands accused of murdering a boy that he was babysitting, it ignites a cascade of violence and terror that forces Laurie to confront the evil she can't control. So, Halloween Ends is a very difficult movie to talk about without spoiling the movie. That's one thing I can 100% say. This is a weird one. This is probably going to be the most divisive movie in the entire franchise, even above Halloween 3 and Rob Zombie's Halloween 2. You thought those movies were divisive? No! This one is. Halloween Ends will end up being more divisive than either one of those movies. I promise you that much. Where do I fall in the love or hate category with this movie? I'm in the middle, honestly. I actually enjoyed this movie quite a bit. I'm closer to the love side than I am the hate side. I completely understand why people would adore this movie, but I understand why people would freaking despise this movie. But I will not understand how people can say this is worse than Halloween 5 or Resurrection. That I will never understand. If you are one of those people, I understand. I get it. That's your opinion. If you think this is somehow worse than Resurrection, I'm not going to be mad at you, okay? That's your opinion. And we love having different opinions here in the horror community, but I know I'm going to get my fair share of toxic Halloween fans who agree to disagree every single time. And I have already run into some toxic fans just because I've come across people who like the film. And that's perfectly fine if you like it as well. Because I do. If you think this is the best one of the franchise, I won't understand why, but I'm going to respect that. I will respect that. I never thought this was going to be the best of the franchise, but I didn't think it would be this divisive, especially because of the marketing. Let's just go ahead and get into, surprisingly, my many positives for Halloween Ends. My first positive, without giving anything away, the opening scene of the film is absolutely fantastic. It's probably my favorite opening of the franchise, even above the original, which is a surprise. I absolutely adore the opening scene of this movie. It is a shocking opening. I'm not going to tell you what happens. All I will say is you'll be getting some Scream 1 vibes. You'll be getting some Wes Craven vibes out of this opening. I won't say what happens, but your jaw will be on the floor. That's all I will say. Secondly, while this film admittedly does not have as many kills as the deaths in this film are very gruesome. A lot of them are actually cutaways, which people had a problem with. I don't see the problem with that. Like, I don't see the problem with this movie not being as gory as the last film. I mean, the original wasn't that gory. H2O wasn't that gory. Like, it's kind of like the 2018 movie, actually, where we see the aftermath of most of the kills instead of the actual kills. Whereas in this film, there are a bunch of cutaways, and we do see the aftermath, but the kills where we see them fully are really disgusting. Especially one kill towards the end of the movie, which I'm not going to say what it is. You'll know what I'm talking about. It involves a radio tower. That's all I will say. You'll get what I'm saying when you watch the movie, I promise. 3, Jamie Lee Curtis gives a terrific final performance as Laurie. Laurie is actually just as good as she is in Halloween H2O here. Like, she's on par with the version of her in H2O. I actually really love Laurie in this movie. She's trying to move on after what's going on. After what's happened 4 years ago, and of course, 44 years ago because of how the original movie. She's trying to move on. She's trying to move on. She's trying to move past that. She's trying to be a better person. She's trying to be... I'm stuttering a bunch. She's trying to be there for Allison. She's trying to be a better person, but the town has turned on her. And for some reason has accused her of Michael's shenanigans when she had nothing to do with it to begin with. Haddonfield is a really confusing town. But this version of Laurie is probably the most realistic we've ever seen her in the David Gordon Green trilogy. It's the most realistic you'll probably ever see the character besides H2O, and I really like it. I really like that. I really like that about this movie. And Jamie Lee Curtis gives a great final performance as Laurie, and it's a good send-off for her character. 4, I can't give away too much about this character. I can't. I really cannot do that until my spoiler discussion. But I do like the character of Corey, portrayed by Rowan Campbell. I like him in this movie quite a bit, for the most part. He's a very sympathetic character that you can get behind. You understand what's going on in his life. You get it. You feel bad for him. Again, for the most part, at least until the 3rd act. That's all I will say about this character. He's sympathetic for the most part. You'll understand what I mean when you see the movie. Trust me. 5. Unlike a lot of people, I did not find this movie boring one bit. This movie did not bore me. It really didn't bore me. And like, I didn't find the lack of Michael to be an issue with the movie. Michael doesn't show up until at least an hour into the movie. I didn't have a problem with that. Like people are complaining about that, but he's barely in the original. He's in the shadows for most of the original film. Okay, but maybe he's not in the shadows in this one. Maybe sort of. He's just not in the movie for the first hour, but like, people are complaining about that. I don't see a problem with it. But like, if you have a problem with it, that's okay. Like, I understand. I personally do not have a problem with this aspect of the movie. Michael barely being in it, I don't have a problem with it, but I understand that people will have a problem with this. A lot of people are going to have a huge problem with that, but that's okay. I personally didn't have a problem with the pacing and how slow it was, and the fact that Michael's barely in it at all, really. I still liked it. I still liked it, despite Michael not being in it. I wasn't anticipating his return. I wasn't impatiently waiting for him to show up. I was actually invested in the story and the characters. I wasn't waiting for Michael to show up the whole movie. I wasn't, so that's all I will say. And my final positive of the movie is the score by John Carpenter, Cody Carpenter, and Daniel Davies once again delivers. I don't know if this will be the final time they compose a Halloween movie. It may be, but I'm not sure. This is a phenomenal score. The music that is in my intro is from the movie, and it's my favorite piece of music from the movie, even above the Halloween theme. The score is very good, but it's not my favorite score of the franchise. I would say that's Halloween Kills. This is probably my 3rd favorite score of the franchise. Above that would be Halloween 2018 and Halloween Kills. But I do really like the score in this movie. It's very unique. You will be getting Halloween 3 vibes from this score. And for those of you who've seen the movie, I haven't seen this movie before. Christine. Well, I have seen Christine, but like, it was a long time ago and I barely remember it. But like, according to a lot of people, you get Christine vibes from the score, so I guess you will. But for me, you're going to be getting a lot of Halloween 3 vibes, especially towards the end when it comes to the score. So I really like that about this one. Now moving on to my mixed elements, of which I have 3. Not a lot of them, but like, this is mostly to do with how people are going to react to this movie. So starting with my first one. This movie's different. Very, very different. This is a very different film in the franchise. This will be the new black sheep. You thought Halloween was the black sheep of the series? Oh no, wait till you get to this one. It has Michael in it, unlike Halloween 3, but this will be the new black sheep. This will be the Halloween black sheep installment of the 21st century. This film is different. You will either walk away from the film absolutely interested and adoring the direction this movie takes, or you will be really freaking angry. You will be angry, you'll be frustrated, you may not like the direction it goes in at all. I personally enjoyed the ideas they went with for this film, but I wish they were developed more. I wish they were developed more and it would have been better. But I also wish they were developed in a previous entry, like, I don't know, Halloween Kills or something. Like, they should have brought that in like the last movie or even the 2018 movie. Maybe not the original movie, that would have been dumb. But like in one of the previous 2 films, they could have brought these directions in here. They could have. And I kind of wish they did, but the direction this movie takes will be a love or hate direction. You're either going to love it or you're going to freaking despise it. That's all I will say. My second mixed aspect is the marketing for the film. The marketing of the film was really weird. This film was marketed in the teaser and in the official trailer as your typical Halloween movie and the showdown between Laurie Strode and Michael Myers. And we get that in the last 15 minutes of the movie. Of course we do. Yeah, this movie was mismarketed like crazy. I don't have the biggest problem with it, but it's a little iffy for me because I'm like, maybe you could have implied that the movie was going in this direction so that it didn't come the freaking heck out of nowhere. I don't know. Like, the showdown between Laurie and Michael is not even the main focus of the movie. This new character, Corey, is actually the main focus of the movie. I won't say why, but he's the main focus of the movie. The Laurie and Michael's showdown is in the back burner for this movie. It's like it's not even focused on at all. And then in the last 15 minutes, Danny McBride and David Gordon Green were like, oh yeah, we have to do that showdown. But, by the way, we have to do that. We have to do that. We need to just throw it in there. Like it always mattered. No, it didn't. It didn't matter, did it? No, it didn't. My final mixed element. The way this film portrays Michael is questionable. It's not as bad as Resurrection. They don't turn Michael into a complete joke. Like I said, I like the direction this movie takes it in, but there are a few scenes involving Michael with this new direction that are unintentionally hilarious. That is all I will say about that. Now moving on to my negatives. Number 1. This movie does not feel like a conclusion. It does not. This movie does not feel like a conclusion. If it does, it's an extremely anticlimactic conclusion to the franchise or to this new trilogy. This does not feel like a finale. It feels like there should be another one. It feels like there should be another film on the forefront. This does not feel like a finale. This does not feel like a conclusion. The conclusion was way too rushed. Which moves on to my next negative. The final battle between Laurie and Michael is very lackluster. It's way, way too short. The final battle should have been the last half hour of the film, not the last 10 minutes. That's so stupid. Like I said in my mixed elements, the final battle is like in the back burner. The final showdown between Laurie and Michael seems like it's in the back burner for the film. It's like David and Danny did not even focus on that. Like, they didn't focus on that. Like, it's like that didn't even matter. And then all of a sudden, they're in the last 10 minutes and like, oh yeah, we have to throw that Laurie-Michael showdown in here just to get the fans happy. And just to give us more money. It feels like that. Like, the final showdown does not feel like a final showdown. The final showdown in 2018 felt more like a final showdown. The one in H2O felt more like a final showdown. Like, because, you know, Michael actually, you know, gets his head cut off. And there's, like, a half-hour-long battle between him and Laurie. In this one, the final battle is like 10 minutes. I get what people say when they say the final battle is very lackluster. The final battle is good, but it's too short. It feels like it ends way too quickly. The way it ends, I won't get into how it ends. It just left me going, that's it. That's the way this battle's going to end. Really? You're going to do that? Like, this is the way it ends? That's just how I feel about it. That's all. My final negative. This will not involve spoilers, but I'm going to say this briefly. The characters of Allison, Lindsay, and Hawkins are really wasted in this film. They're barely in the film at all. Allison is in the movie more than Lindsay and Hawkins, so I'll give that credit, but going along with that, the way Allison is portrayed in this movie is not good. Allison is nowhere near as good of a character as she was in 2018 in Kills. Her character just completely changed, did a complete 180. She's now a young woman with boy problems. That's all they did. That's all they did with her, instead of the strong and tough final girl she was in 2018 in Kills. Now she's just a woman with boy problems. No, next. And also, Lindsay and Hawkins are like in 2 scenes in the entire movie. Like, they're barely in the film at all. Like, especially not as much as they were in the last movie or even the 2018 film with Hawkins. Like, they're barely in the film. They're like in 2 or 3 scenes. That is it. That's all. They are barely in the film whatsoever. It's so... What was the point of them being in the film if they're barely going to be in it? Like, I bet you they had more scenes, but they just cut them out. Is that it, David? Is that it? Like, do you want to explain that to me? Because I like the characters of Lindsay Wallace and Frank Hawkins. I love those characters. But they're barely in the film. It's like, they're not even in the supporting cast. It's like they're cameos. It's like they're very minor characters in this movie because they're not in it that much at all, and it's kind of disappointing because they were in a lot of the last 2 films. Yeah, that's all I need to say about that. So overall, guys, Halloween Ends, in my opinion, is a good film, but it's not great. It's not a great film. It may grow on me over time, but it may also get worse for me over time. I don't know. I'll have to rewatch it many times just to see. This is probably going to be the most divisive installment of the Halloween franchise, even above Halloween 3 and Rob Zombie's Halloween 2. And you thought those movies were divisive? Oh God, no, this one is. This one's going to be even more divisive. You're either going to adore this movie or you're going to absolutely despise it. I've barely seen anyone who is in the middle with their thoughts like I am. I'm in the middle. I don't love the movie, but I don't freaking despise it. I like the movie. I like the movie quite a bit. There are a lot of things about this movie that I really love. Like, I adore so many things about this movie, but there are also aspects that really frustrate me senseless. They frustrate me so much, and it's really sad to see. This is a solid but anticlimactic conclusion to the David Gordon Green trilogy. This is the weakest of the trilogy. This is by far the weakest of the trilogy. It's one of my least favorites in the franchise, as you've seen with my ranking, but that doesn't mean that I hate the movie. I like literally almost every single one of these movies. Like, 13 movies, there are only 2 that I don't like or that I hate. Like, maybe 2 of them I think are decent. I love 9 out of the 13 movies of the franchise. Like, I like or love 9 of the films, and I really do like this movie. I recommend it. I really do recommend it, but I suggest you go into it with an extremely open mind if you want to enjoy this one. I'm going to give Halloween Ends a C+. So what do you guys think of Halloween Ends? Let me know in the comments below. Did you like this movie? Did you hate this movie? Did you love this movie? Or are you in the middle like I am? Go ahead and let me know. We can debate in the replies and all that stuff. Please, for the love of God, do not spoil this movie in the comments for those who have not seen it yet. Do not spoil this movie. It is still a brand new movie. Do not spoil it. I beg you, don't do that, please. If you do, your comment's going to be deleted. Sorry, but it will be. Do not spoil the movie or you will face the consequences. And also, respect each other's opinions, please. I would really appreciate that. Do not be pricks and jerks in the comments. Do not do that. Don't Don't hate on someone's opinion. Don't say, oh, you're not a Halloween fan because you like this movie, or you're not a Halloween fan because you hate this movie. Don't do that. Don't do that. Respect each other's opinions. If you hate this movie, that's fine. If you're in the middle with this movie, that's fine. If you love this movie, that is also fine. I don't care. We all have our own opinions, and we should respect them. So anyways, guys, be looking forward to future videos and reviews in the future. Be looking forward to the next part of my 31-day horror movie watch list. I won't get into every film that I'm watching, but I know Halloween Ends is going to be there. It's going to be a very brief part of the video because I went to go see this movie in theaters 2 days ago, the day before the movie came out. So yeah, because I was lucky enough that my theater was releasing it a day early. But that will be part of the video. And eventually I will get back to my Friday the 13th franchise reviews. I found out yesterday that Ted White, who played Jason in part 4, passed away. Rest in peace, good sir. But be looking forward to those. So anyways, guys, I guess that's pretty much it. So anyways, I'm Adeline. This is Adeline's Horror World. Of course, you guys already know that. I love all you guys to death. And until next time,